1961, the NFL officially recognizes the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Currently, there are 326 members in the NFL Hall of Fame. In 1966, Red Auerbach retires as the Boston Celtics coach. Red Auerbach won 9 championships with the Boston Celtics and won 8 consecutive titles from 1959 to 1966. In 1983, Nolan Ryan becomes a strikeout king, passing Walter Johnson. Ryan was an 8-time All-Star, and his 5,714 career strikeouts is an MLB record by a significant margin. In 1986 NFL Draft, Auburn running back Bo Jackson was the first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jackson is the only professional athlete in history to be named an All-Star in both baseball and football. And in 2018, Shaquem Griffin is the first one-handed player to be drafted into the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
What's up, Chad here from the Sports Drive. Well, no sports to talk about. March Madness canceled, every major sport, so maybe you get to spend some more time around your family. Oh, what? Not supposed to touch anybody? Well, just go home and watch Price is Right. But if you are older, you have a better chance of getting it. Right, Mike Gundy? Oh, 40? You should be all right. And he won't be broadcasting sports, but one guy that feels the same way we all do with no sports, probably Joe Buck.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness.
Sports Drive 5 to 7 with no sports.
ESPN News.
Disney Plus talked to real fans about what they'll be watching from Nat Geo around Earth Day.
One strange rock. When I found out the Sahara fertilizes the Amazon rainforest, that was incredible.
Expedition Mars. It tackled the idea of traveling to Mars and actually living there.
Hostile planets. Just a snow leopard slowly stalking its prey.
Free Solo. Then I climb on all my cabinets in the house.
National Geographic. I love nature shows. Being exposed to them has really enriched my life.
There's something streaming for everyone on Disney Plus.
Welcome back. Quite a conversation with Commissioner Bowlesby. Appreciate his time and really appreciate his directness. That was really extraordinary. Let's continue with more phone calls here. And how about Justin in Texas? Hey, Justin.
How y'all doing?
We are great. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you something, Paul. I just don't understand what's going on. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And how in the world can something spread like this? I don't know where it all started other than China. And I'm not believing it's shutting down everything. I go to Cavender's today. They're closed. I can't believe football's going to be – I just don't see us having football, man. And I'm really let down. I know we had a great year last year, and we're blessed. But I don't understand how something like this could just paralyze our country. And
well, let me say this about that, Justin. It's not just this country. It's pretty much the entire world. So
the whole world. The whole world. Yes,
this is not an America problem. I talked to a friend of mine in Rome 2 days ago who has not been outside his apartment since March 12th. So I mean, and I'm viruses. I'm not an expert on epidemiology or virology, but that's no longer really the issue. The issue is trying to deal with it, and I think people are doing as good a job as they can, and I think you understand it as well as I do. Why the public officials have done what they have done. Is it frustrating? Yeah, it's crazy. I don't think anyone wants to be locked up and not do their job and not go to work and not participate in the things that we all love. I think we're getting closer to the end of, at least for now, but if you just heard our last guest, it may not be ending.
No, sir, I don't think so. I think that we need to be looking for the good Lord.
Well, I agree with you on that completely.
You have a great day.
Thank you. I totally agree. Well, thank you. Again, we'll take a short break here in a minute. Trying to digest all of what Bob Bowlesby said, but he alluded to a number of things. I have not thought about something he brought up here. What happens if you have a game on November 8th and somebody, you got Alabama playing at Baton Rouge, and somebody, Alabama has an outbreak and can't make the game. What happens? It's biggest game of the year, and is it a forfeit? Can you make it up? Can your team play? I mean, that's almost beyond what I think any of us really do want to think about. But you have to think about it, and he's the first person involved in intercollegiate athletics I've heard that's at least thrown some of that stuff on the table. There are a lot of serious conversations going on when these commissioners converse every couple of days, or every day for that matter. We're up against a break. More of your phone calls at 855-242-7285. We'll also check in with the athletic director at Ole Miss in a couple of minutes. We are coming right back.
Redbox has top entertainment when you need it most. Get ready for some high-speed family excitement. Based on the global video game franchise from Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog is here. Can Sonic defeat evil genius Dr. Robotnik, played by none other than Jim Carrey, and save the world? Let Redbox bring you together, because connection is everything, now more than ever. Make it a family movie night and visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch. Prices may vary by location, subject to applicable taxes. Additional terms at redbox.com.
Welcome back to Sports View. Today's topic, who's the greatest of all time? For my money, it's Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle. It literally saves you money. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Look, it's simple.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Add up all the heroes, take away the zeros, and what you got? One big trophy and me saying, I told you so.
I disagree.
Thanks, fellas. Took the words right out of my mouth.
There's really no debate. Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle is a winning combination. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Would Dan be a good director of a funeral home?
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1931, Lou Gehrig hit a home run but is called out for passing a runner. The mistake cost him the AL home run crown. He and Babe Ruth tied for the season. In 1961, the NFL officially recognizes the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Currently, there are 326 members in the NFL Hall of Fame. In 1966, Red Auerbach retires as the Boston Celtics coach. Red Auerbach won 9 championships with the Boston Celtics and won 8 consecutive titles from 1959 to 1966. In 1983, Nolan Ryan becomes a strikeout king, passing Walter Johnson. Ryan was an 8-time All-Star, and his 5,714 career strikeouts is an MLB record by a significant margin. In 1986 NFL Draft, Auburn running back Bo Jackson was the first pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jackson is the only professional athlete in history to be named an All-Star in both baseball and football. And in 2018, Shaquem Griffin is the first one-handed player to be drafted into the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks. That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Gathering at Pensacola Beach is a wonderful family experience. If you thought of having a family celebration or an amazing beach wedding, there's a very special home now available, Casa de Luna. Casa de Luna is spacious with room for large families. It has 9 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. Casa de Luna is a large private home with a refreshing pool and water views. The pool can be heated for swimming in colder months. Casa de Luna is unique in that the main living area is directly on sand level. It's very convenient. Bedrooms are both on the sand level and upstairs. One bathroom is handicap friendly and another has a new jacuzzi. And there's a large gaming porch with pool table, foosball, hockey, ping pong, and Xbox One. Bicycles are provided. Bring your family to Casa de Luna on Pensacola Beach.
For information, call Casa de Luna owner Tim at 791-6400. That's 791-6400. 791-6400.
Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together. And as one team, we will get through these difficult times. And together, we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, well, the beach is open tomorrow, so if you're headed to anywhere to work, essential or not, be careful. It's going to probably be Blue Angels week on the bridge. And also, we'll get to more on Jameis Winston and why he made a future decision that is the best for him and New Orleans.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Both been beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest, 992 for Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba.
Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmett Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome into the Sports Drive right here on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Chad Brilliante alongside JP as we get set to go for a Thursday, one step closer to things starting to happen again as the beaches will be open. And look, we understand everybody's different on this. People are going to think one way or the other. LeBron James came out today, and if he was running for politics, to me, he would have got a lot of people's vote he usually doesn't get a vote from. He's been pretty clear how he feels about the president, some of the things he said. But today he was like, nah. Dr. Fauci came on there. And remember, this guy is a scientist, a doctor, somebody that knows his division. What he doesn't know is telling people that have been doing it for years about putting together a football game in order to play and what it means for everything. He can say what he wants, but football's bigger than just football, a sport. For people to say it's just a sport, is it really in the South? Is there a lot of things, maybe toilet paper these days, but is there a lot of things where some rivalries might lead to some gunshots in an area outside of Tuscaloosa against one lady that was rooting for Auburn? Do I condone any of that? No. But we understand sports are bigger than sports. That's why when I go home, I watch ESPN, even if there's no sports going on, over some of the other stuff that I've been getting lately. I just realize that so many people want to take a path of saying one thing, but you do know, even if we were 100% healthy, no influenza, no cancer, nothing, there'd be a ton of people out there that are doctors and scientists that would be writing their medical report that football shouldn't be played anyway because of concussions and CTE and everything that goes into it that is detrimental and harmful to humans. That's about 38% of the country. So every time somebody reposts something, Dr. Fauci said we're not going to play sports, don't immediately assume that we're not playing sports. I heard people on Feinbaum today talking in Minnesota about not playing football. Minnesota and how they're dealing with it and what's happening in the Northeast is completely different than how we have to deal with it. Adding up the numbers yesterday in COVID-19 deaths by the CDC, not, Dr. Elephant Mass.
Baker Mayfield.
.school.biz. Yeah, exactly. drbakermayfield.zoo. I didn't go to that website. But looking at the numbers between New York, Massachusetts, which Boston, hot populated city, New Jersey, Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, in that area right there. When I say Pennsylvania, Harrisburg and other places not so much, but Philadelphia, which is right across the beach. I mean, it's pretty much just like how we call it Lower Alabama around here. Philadelphia is right across the bridge from being another AC, Atlantic City. So it's right there by Jersey. And the amount of people that commute in and out of town is a ton. So because of that area up there makes up about 85% of cases in this country. So it's completely different. There are 9 or 10 states that never did anything to shut down. So why would they shut down football if people are driving around, shaking hands, hanging out at parks right now together anyway? It has to be looked at differently. And Commissioner Greg Sankey came out today and said, look, the SEC and how case by case it's handled and how we should resume practicing and getting back to the field is something that should not be looked at the same way for Big Ten country, for what's going on in the Big 12 and all across. And it's going to be that way. And this is going to be the toughest season ever because I've always believed in order to achieve something, the best goal is to everybody to be on the same page. Nobody's ever going to completely agree on things. How many people at home, I probably speak on behalf of JP on this one, once again, not going down the road of politics, but there are many things that it looks like it's going to come down to President Donald Trump or Joe Biden for our president of the United States. And there's things on both of them that I wouldn't love to have quality traits in my daughter or my son. Can we agree on that, regardless of politics? Can we agree there's quality traits of both those people that you're not like, yeah, that's not how I want my son to be raised?
Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, that's a different story. I'm just kidding.
But when it comes down to this, and that has nothing to do with politics, that's just human nature if they never ran for any president. But I have to say that I hope we agree that the decisions, even if they became our president, Republican, Democrat, I would hope that you're the kind of person that roots for them to succeed and not fail. Even if you don't like them, you painfully don't like them, like Fire and Brimstone don't like them on Facebook. I still hope you'd be one of those kind of people that would hope for them to succeed so our country succeeds. Maybe not an election year like we've seen, but hopefully throughout the course, you would like them to succeed so we succeed as a country. And for football, I realize that it would be better if all of us got together and agreed that we're going to play football or we're not going to play football. But it's not going to work out that way. There are going to be a lot of states right now that are reopening. NASCAR just made the announcement that they're starting May 17th, getting the people back out there. The races are going to happen. You have beaches that are going to be populated all over, not just here, but all over the country that have beaches. Like some of those big ponds in some of the Midwest cities. I've been there. Check out for amoebas and whatever. Wouldn't be scared of corona at all going in some of those ponds and lakes that I've been in. But I will say that all these places are opening. There are states that are talking about completely opening across the board. Even Jacksonville in Florida, right down the road from us. 4.5, 5-hour trip, depending how fast you zoom on I-10, talking about opening right now. It's just not going to be an easy task, but I think this is ultimately one where people say, we are not having football in fall. Those are people that might not have football in fall in certain places. And then there's other people that said, look, we can get the fans in our stadium. We can be out there ready to go in a matter of a couple months from now. When we get into July, we'll be full throttle. And there's not a perfect answer. Personally, there's not a perfect answer. And it's one that I have so much pride in getting up here as you do and doing our fact checking and researching, and we can read everything we can. None of us can give you a perfect answer right now. But I would hope to think that people can work together to not say, nope, if I can't do it, you can't do it. But I don't know if that's the fair answer either. So this is going to be tough, but I do believe there are going to be conferences that are making decisions before other conferences that they can start football. It's going to be a really tough one. I mean,
why do we continue to search for answers now? Like, lo and behold, it doesn't matter if the SEC comes out today and says we can have football in the fall. That means nothing 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months, whatever it may be. Remember, we're still 4 months from football. 4 months from football. Why do we continue to search for answers? And why is this my thing? I know why, but the common sense reality of it all is the decision's not going to be made today. The decision's not going to be made 2 weeks from now, and the decision's not going to be made a month from now, whether we're playing football or not. Now, you may be in an area where it could happen. That doesn't mean that you're going to make the decision right then and there that it is going to happen. Just because there's too much time in between this. You could have another outbreak, or everything may be all hunky-dory when it's all said and done. But when you look at this, there's just too much time. We need to quit searching for answers. It's the media's fault on all this. People want to know. They want to know. Well, you're not going to know. You're just not going to know. It's as simple as saying it. I mean, when I look at this, I get so aggravated because people want answers now. They want answers now. They want that fast food type mentality. Give it to me now. Give it to me quick. Hurry up. Let's go. I need to move on. It's not going to change anything you do in your life, whether you find out today or you find out 2 months from now. You continue to do whatever you're doing. And look, the beach is opening up down here. I sure hope people don't take advantage of this to the extent where ignorance pops back up again, where you've got parties going on and all this other stuff, because then we're going to be right back where we started. Please don't ruin this for everybody. Please use common sense and all this stuff. I know it's hard for some people. I know you want to. People have been cooped up. You got kids, whatever it may be. You hadn't seen your bros in a while. Whatever's going on. I get it, okay? I get it. Okay, we're everybody around here, everybody listening to this right now has been a part of this. It has changed you to some extent. Maybe not as much as some other people, but to some extent. Don't ruin this. Look, we're the reason we can go back out and do this. Let's make a remark to that. The reason that we can go back and doing this is because we've done such a good job so far as a community and helping each other out and practicing social distancing. Not everybody, but the majority of the people. Yeah, our cases have gone up, but they've slowed. We're getting good signs that we can open back up to an extent. Now, that's the only reason that happened is because of us. So pat yourself on the back if you want to, but don't take this partial opening as, okay, now I can go back to doing whatever the heck I want. No, that's where it doesn't matter. This is my thing on this. The football and whatever sports. Look, NASCAR, awesome. Cool, it's sports. We want sports. I want football, every kind of football. I don't care if it's European football at this point. But it's not. You're not going to get the answer today. Like, chill. Everybody just calm down. Let's quit making decisions now. Doesn't matter if you make that decision. If NCAA came out today and said, all right, fall season starting in September, would you believe it? Would anybody believe it? Don't tell me what I want to hear. Just say, you know what? We're not going to make a decision until 2 months from now. We don't need to make a decision until two or 3 months from now. We'll give you plenty of time. They made that remark of give teams 6 weeks to prepare. Okay, we'll let you know before then, but we're going to make our decision in 2 months. We're going to see how the economy opening back up, the nation opening back up a little bit, and see how it reacts, how everything happens. That's where I look at this. People want to get all mad and ticked off about this, but for what? Like, you're wasting your time. You know what I want? I want to have that Brandon Cooks energy. Brandon Cooks, the man that said, I've been traded 3 times in my 6 years. You know what it tells me? People want me. That's what he said today. He said, listen, been traded for first rounders. This past year I got traded for a second rounder. Yeah, people want me. That's the energy I want right now. Everybody needs Brandon Cooks energy. You know what, Brandon Cooks? You basically been fired a few times, and you're saying, yeah, people want me. So if you've been fired out there a couple times, and you got another job right now, it's because people want you. That's what I want in my life, and that's going to end my rant.
850-623-1330 is the number. Yeah, we don't know the answer right now. There was a lot of this when this happened. We're always going to know this date. You and I will, and a lot of people in the sports world. Friday the 13th is something we all know, not just the movie, but no Jason Voorhees, but the actual Friday the 13th. Everybody is looking around. If you're walking outside to take out the trash before the weekend sets in, they're going to come pick it up on Monday, and then a black cat walks by you, and you're like, oh my gosh, this would only happen on Friday 13th. You're like, no, Aunt Millie just got the new cat. That's all it is. Mittens is fine. Just everybody calm down. We're all good here. Now, if you see like 15 mittens coming at you, you better get in that house real quick. Unless you live next to a pet cemetery, then you better start running and probably ask a real estate agent to move. But I have to say, for what's going on in college football, when it was Thursday the 12th, when that date hit, we all sat back and we remember sports coming to a close. It's almost like a blackout in a big city. You see one of those movies, lights are all going out. Well, it was the night before when Rudy Gobert decided to hug some kids. And next thing you know, he tested positive. A few others, him and Donovan Mitchell, probably don't go out for drinks after all this is said and done. And then the NBA the next day shut down. College basketball is in the middle of their conference tournaments, and we were watching a Creighton versus St. John's game in studio. Get ready for Talk Football with Coach K. Stevenson, and it shuts down. And it all shut down from there. Even the ones that you expected to keep alive, the Warriors, we're not going down. I got blood on my fist. All of a sudden, UFC, boxing, sports like NASCAR, where people do a lot crazier things. You got Ryan Newman's coming out and saying he's going to be back. When they open in a couple weeks, he's back racing. You ain't first or last. Doesn't care if he's got a couple pounds of Colombian Bam Bam on the bottom of that car. You better get driving, Ricky Bobby. They're ready to go. We didn't know that guy was going to survive. They brought the black curtain. And now this guy wants to come back in less than a month. NASCAR, the tough warriors of that, all of them decided to shut down, even the XFL, Vince McMahon League. And then we heard, it could be months, it could be years. Heck, we had reports that we weren't even going to talk about sports for the rest of the time. But it's good, though, that even the people, because in light of all this, we've gone down a path of politics where some people are enjoying that maybe have jobs where they're still getting a paycheck or they're still essential, but they also see the economy crumbling, which you would think they would be pissed about, but they're happy because Donald Trump has a good chance in a couple months now to get elected. I said it, and it's 100% true for a lot of people. And those people, not saying they're good people or I'm not going to name any people, but those people want to see that happen. They're also not happy that people are getting back out. They're like, whoa, everybody, we're fine. We're all good. I'm still getting a paycheck. I own one of those app companies. Man, I own actually a company like Indeed that helps people get jobs. Man, I'm loving it. I'm raking in the cash right now. But don't speak on behalf of all these other local small businesses that want to take that risk and understand that they're older and they might take that. Or now they're sending their son to work the job because they just had a heart attack and they don't want to get back into the limelight. They understand this. People are going to have to work together for all of this. With sports, LeBron James, a guy that's made it clear how he feels about politics and the president, is not pushing that agenda today. He came out and said, stop all these people saying that we're not going to play basketball. Stop scaring these people. Nobody has said that. He said not one commissioner, not one of the guys in our league has said, none of the GMs, the presidents, the owners, none of them has said that we're not going to have basketball. They said, I've heard the opposite, that we should be getting rolling here soon. So it's good that most people they understand it by now, and they understand that most things at this point, except for a couple places, probably should be getting opening here soon. But doing it with respect for others and understanding the situation still. But just from logic from day one, where I've been pretty close to on par with what was happening with the numbers at the beginning. I'm not going to get into that. That's for another Facebook post with my brother. But from day one, I looked at the numbers and crunched them since we didn't have sports, had way too much time on my hand, and was pretty clear to the numbers of what it looks like now. Understand it can still go up. Knowing, though, that we did the right thing by taking some time, but I also think we're doing the right things now, for the most part. And because we're doing that, if it is April 30th, we're not even into May yet, and there are places Monday in the heart of the country of college football here in the SEC that are deciding to reopen across the board. Reopen. Go hang out, do whatever you need to do. Pick up games where you got 25 people out there. Who's got next? Coming back out there. People hanging out with the families at the parks. Doing things like it's back to normal to a point coming up here next Monday. And you can say even without fans, that we can't play college football or get a season going 3.5 months from now? Think about that. The rest of the world in college football country can go back to work, a lot of it, on Monday, with some limitations, but on Monday. But we can't play college football in 3.5 months? Personally, I can't see that happening. It's just my opinion. Now, it's going to be different, as we said, in different areas, but that's my opinion. So I feel confident we will, and that the SEC will be different than some other conferences. And we'll see, though. We have way too much time to debate, and let's get to some of the big sports stories when we come back. We're going to talk some NBA basketball. We'll get into more on what's going on right now with some of the big moves going on, including NASCAR announcing that on Thursday it'll resume their, coming up here, that they will resume their season starting May 17th with 10 big races right out of it. I know some people that want to put a couple dimes on a couple of things that are like, woohoo, all right, better get a NASCAR driver real quick. That's not iRacing at his house. We're coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, simulcast on Blab TV.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Two Men in a Truck is the leader in all things moving. During this difficult time in our country, we're here to help you. As the movers who care, we're taking all necessary precautions to protect you, your belongings, and our employees daily. In Florida, moving is an essential service to ensure shelter or the delivery of supplies, and we're open to help meet all your home or business moving needs. For more information on how Two Men in a Truck is handling the coronavirus, or to book a move today, visit twomeninatruck.com. That's twomeninatruck.com.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station, ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Chad Brilliante alongside JP, having some fun with you. 850-623-1330 is the number. If you want to weigh in on the discussion about can you see college football coming back without all the conferences across the board coming back. We already know. I'll make this clear before we get into the conversation, because I already do a good job of sort of heading down a couple of the rabbit holes. So we don't need too many off-topic conversations. I'm good enough to do that for us. But the difference between college football playing is going to be kids coming back to school. That's one thing that sort of has been agreed on, and to the point of NCAA President Mark Emmert had already said. He goes, it wouldn't be saying much about the student athlete if we had athletes playing without the student part, which makes sense. It's also indirectly saying it's going to be hard to get a bunch of money from these people and say that they're still amateurs if they're not student athletes. Now we're just using them strictly to make money for our tickets and TV rights, and the part about being a student is completely irrelevant. So indirectly, they're also saying that, hey, let's get a bunch of people out there. We got about $4.5 billion in TV deals. What about classes? Don't worry about that. But did you see that network we just launched? Woo-hoo! Boom! Jacked up plays, boys. So we understand both parts. But JP, can you see? I mean, yes or no? We've already dove into this a lot, but can you see sports coming back in Division I, FCS football? Can you see it coming back?
FCS or FBS?
FBS.
That is disgraceful to the FCS.
I was just going right to North Dakota State. That's all I care about is the Bison football. Jackrabbits, you look, South Dakota State, that's all. But do you see FBS football coming back across the board if one conference still decides they can't do it?
I think it'll still come back, but then the case is, so how does this work for when you talk about bowl games? How does this work for playoffs, things like that? You can't fault a conference of not playing because of the reasons obviously here, not just saying we're just not doing it just because. That's where I think this gets a little crazy is what happens with that. I think you can play. Yeah, anybody can play. But what happens to playoffs? What happens to all these bowl games they already have the rights to? They already got contracts signed. What happens to all this? Because if a team or if a conference is missing, a team maybe not so much, but if the conference is missing, then how does that play in? Because if you take a Power 5 conference and one of those Power 5 conferences is gone, we'll just say the Big Ten. We'll say the Big Ten's gone. How does that work? I mean, how do you do this? That's where I have no idea. Just because I think you could, but I don't think they would say, okay, well, you know what? You guys are just missing out. We're going to move on. We're going to have our playoffs. We're going to have our bowl games. We'll just pick up some more teams here. We'll have a 5-7 team getting a bowl game or whatever it may be. We're going to do this. So that's where I question all this. I personally could see it happening, but I feel that this has to be across the board in order for this to fully work, because somebody is, if the Big Ten can't do it, you know that they're going to fight tooth and nail to not miss out. Doing all these other schools, think about all these other schools making all this money from this. The Big Ten doesn't get any of this pot because they're not playing because safety reasons. I get it, but how does that all play in? That's where there's so much smoke and mirrors. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. That's where I don't know. I mean, I know the NCAA came out today and said, of course, they don't back the transfer rule. They came out and said, they're going to now the board of directors said we don't back the transfer rule this year. We don't think it's the time for it. Maybe next year we'll see. They're going to vote May 20th whether the one-time transfer rule is good. We talked about this name, image, and likeness yesterday. This is why I question the whole can the football come back. The NCAA is all for name, image, and likeness, but they're not for a one-time transfer rule. So then you're expecting which the NCAA, personally, I think is nothing more than becoming a semi-pro, is all it is now, money-wise, for doing, especially when you say the name, image, and likeness stuff, the players can do that, but you don't back a transfer rule. I thought this was about what's best for the player.
Yeah.
So if a player wants to transfer, so a player can go make $1 million off a commercial, but he can't transfer to another school because he's sitting behind somebody. That's what I'm saying in all this. The only reason I bring that up is to bring, can this happen if maybe a conference doesn't play? I don't think so, because I don't think the NCAA knows what they're doing right now. That's where I have question marks on all this because of their other decisions. How can they make that decision? How can they boot somebody else out in this? This is so I don't know. I can see it happening. I can absolutely see it happening, to answer your question. But will it happen across the board if maybe a conference is gone? I don't think so, just because I don't know if the NCAA would know what to do to be able to cover themselves.
It's one of these kind of things that it happens so much in life. It happens so much in pretty much anything that you can think of where things aren't fair. It's like essential businesses. I mean, think about it. I try to get a haircut. If you're looking at this on TV, probably look away from whatever the shark tip is. But I tried to cut my own hair. It was a disaster. But at the same time, haircuts are an essential, which people actually usually need if you're on TV or other things, not to say, look at that. Or, not in a good way, compared to WWE was deemed essential in Florida because it helped people take their – I mean, you can make a case for anything based on that. It did, and I wasn't against it. Hey, look, got to watch a couple, Stone Cold Stunners, a couple off the top rope. A couple of the Razor's Edge, one of those nice choke slams. They're still doing that. I haven't seen too many of the 7'1" Kane or Undertakers anymore. But no matter what it is, people are probably ticked off. I still see people all over that are upset that bars, that right now they're going to make the rule coming up here on Friday, that restaurants can have 25% seating and then also have an area where people can sit outside. But a place like we love to go, one of our great sponsors, World of Beer, a place like that, if they didn't serve food, and I think they can with graffiti and all that, but if they didn't serve food, they wouldn't be able to have people sit in those beautiful seats on a gorgeous day like this on Saturday because it was deemed a bar and not a restaurant. And a lot of people are fighting, how is that fair? How can you sit, at a place that might serve a slice of pizza, but you can't do that in a beautiful setting and get a drink? And I get it. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that every day from the Better Business Bureaus and the state of Florida and the governor and going through county commissions and everything that goes on. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. So for football, it's going to be a lot tougher. Now, Commissioner Sankey was on the Feinbaum Show today, and he talked about whether or not the season is scheduled to start will be determined on whether or not they have SEC Media Days. Now, he said they plan on going forward, middle July. I believe it's in Atlanta now. It's not in Hoover, so if you're making that trip, you're going to have to GPS another couple hours. But Atlanta, July 16th, which tomorrow gives us pretty much 2.5 months exactly. 2.5 months. Think about how much has changed in, like you said, 2 weeks. 2.5 months for this decision. But the one thing they said is that it will not, if there's no football in sight, they're not going to change that. And a lot of other places have come out, like the Mountain West Conference, announced it will cancel its media days. First off, how much money were they losing on that anyway? But that's not my job to judge. But
smart business move on that part.
I've been to a couple UNLV football games when I lived out there, and people, the tailgates were awesome. And then people went to the casinos and bars, and the football game started. And they'd play somebody. I think they played Fresno State that night. I don't know. I was one of the people that followed into the local Tropicana casino. But I have to say, for a lot of this, the SEC, I think, honestly, the SEC does need to be a conference to be looked at. And people could say, if you don't live around here, and I've lived in cities all over, you know what, they're going to say play football no matter what. And that's not true. People care about life. One thing about people in the South, they care about family, they care about loved ones. And you can say what you want, but people also care about a lot of these people that care about their loved one and their family, they want to get back to work because they want to get back to work so they can take care of those families and the generations of ma and pa stores that have been here in the South from Century and Molino and Milton and all over these places in Robertsdale that their families have owned it for 200 years. And they want to keep those businesses alive. And 1 month can crush it. 1 month can crush it. And that's what they want to do. They're not trying to just say, I want to get back out in the sun. Yeah, people are going to get to the beach this week, but most people aren't about, give me a bushwhacker, give me one of those inflatable flamingos. That's not why they want this. They want to get back to work. That's what I do
want to break out my inflatable flamingo, though.
I got a new Paw Patrol one. It's pretty cool. It's really awesome. But I hope it goes through on July 16th and 17th, but it's going to be one of those decisions that's out of our control. Some of the other headlines from the day as we reel through. Andy Dalton has been released. Don't say it.
Clock's ticking, baby.
Don't say it.
I'm so happy you brought this up. Clock's ticking.
What? Yeah.
Clock's ticking.
Clock's ticking for us to get to the next segment. I'll tell you that much.
Ticking.
That's
gonna be a Patriot.
You know the thing about
He's gonna take you guys to the playoffs, and I'm gonna rub it all in your face.
That's not. No, first off, I'm not going to fight against that. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope if he did go to the Patriots,
will be if he goes to the Patriots.
No, I'll be right if he goes to the Pats that they won't make the playoffs.
But they will make the playoffs.
The Red Rocket.
I will bet on that.
He's run out of fuel. The old Andy Dalton used to
rejuvenated, baby.
Listen, old Andy Dalton had a little fuel in the tank. When he had T.J. Hushmanzada and Chad Ochocinco.
5 playoff appearances.
Ochocinco and Hushmanzada back in the day when he was in a rook his first couple years. You know, he's like one of the all-time leading he holds like 80% of Cincinnati Bengals records. It's not saying much, folks, but Boomer Esiason's like, yeah, you make that Super Bowl, boys. But he's never won a playoff game ever in the history of his career. But he has a winning record. I think he's like 72-65. I mean, he's not a terrible
70-62.
Is that what he is? Okay. I was close. But Andy Dalton's a winning quarterback. He also cost $17.7 million against the cap. So the Bengals said, you're clearly going to be the Tiger King's clipboard holder. So adios. We don't need Joe Exotic and Andy the Animal on the sidelines.
He's going to the Pats. He's 32.
Can you call him the Red Panda with that? We've been
call him whatever you want when he wears that Patriot jersey.
Those things are ferocious.
He's 32 years old.
They will attack and bite you on sight.
5 years taking the Bengals to the playoffs.
Cincinnati Zoo. I've been learning about it. That's where it is, Cincinnati Zoo.
What a bum organization. Get this man some help.
Cashier Smash and Andy Dalton will be starting in 2020 if we have football.
Cash it. I think no matter if he goes to the Patriots or he goes to Jacksonville.
You think that's it? I see Denver or New York as other possibilities. I think it comes down to Jacksonville or New England, though.
Yeah, I think that's too. The Denver, maybe. But I don't think if there's an opportunity for Andy Dalton to go be a starter, that's where he wants to go.
Yeah.
To actually compete. He's not going to take over Drew Lock's spot. They've already built that team around Drew Lock. Sam Darnold, the Jets are 100% believing in Sam Darnold. Don't know why, but they do. And they tend to believe in people they shouldn't have, and that's, probably why they boo every year.
Put a muzzle on the weekends when he's not playing.
They draft at the top every year, like Mel Kiper said about the Colts, years ago. There's a reason this team continues to draft
if
at the top.
Darnold and him went mano-a-mano, who would win that? Ooh, that'd be tough.
Mono would win.
One would go down quick in that one. Tua, we're the number 13 for Dan unretired. Let's get this story out of here. Mike Bianchi. Look, Mike Bianchi in Orlando writes a lot of articles. He's been covering the game for a long time. I had a chance to work with him briefly when Brady Ackerman, Jerry O'Neill, some of the guys at ESPN 1080 down there, and when we had a show in the afternoons with Mark Ryan and the guys. But I look back and I say, he brought up that Dan Marino should unretire his number 13 in order to give. The whole point of retiring a jersey is to retire a jersey. But the second part to that is we know that the few people that are almost bigger than the team. And even though Dan Marino didn't get a ring, Dan Marino is Miami Dolphin football. Him and Don Shula are Miami Dolphin football. You got Larry Zonkas, and you got Bob Greasy's, and you got some of the 72. Mercury Morris will come on and do his ridiculous jig, and everybody will have fun with it. But at the end of the day, Dan Marino is Miami football. And to ask imagine this conversation if Derrick Rose was like, kindly, sir, do you mind if I get 23 Chicago for you real quick? Like the how bad you'd be berated for that. Or number 8 in LA if some kid came in today and asked for that.
I think it's important.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
What your brother said yesterday was a good point.
It has to come from Dan.
Look, don't put this article out there and say he should do it, and then Dan's against it. First, I can tell you right now,
Dan's not going to let that.
Dan don't give two craps with anybody.
But I wouldn't put Dan in that spotlight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If Dan came out of this out of nowhere and said, "Hey, look, you know what? I like Tua a lot. I like this kid. I want to unretire my jersey. If he wants to use it, he can have it." Now, nobody else, but here again, too, things on that. This is something that we don't even know if Tua is going to be healthy enough to start for the Miami Dolphins. Like, I know we think we will. Like, he should, but we don't even know that. This guy just showed up, and then people like Bianchi, I don't say people because it was just him.
Yeah, I know.
But he says, he needs to give his jersey. No. Like, that's part of it, honoring the guy that wore the jersey.
Yeah.
It's...
And I don't see Tua saying that either.
No, Tua
wouldn't
say that.
Tua say that, and I can't also see Dan Marino. Like you said, it's not fair to put Dan Marino in that situation because it wouldn't be fair right now for a lot of good people that have lost a ton of money and maybe their business, maybe had to foreclose on their home, to go up to them and said, "Hey, look, my grandma right now, she's got a GoFundMe page and she's not going to make it this week. I need $100 from you. You go, well, do you not love my grandma? And someone's like, well, that's crap, man. That's not fair to do to me. Like, I do, but I don't have $100 to give you. Or I need to be able to survive this week. Don't make Dan Marino be pressured into saying anything about this, because the answer is no. Dan would have already talked to him. He's aware that 2 were 13. You got some new ones, by the way?
Oh, no, I just have the peppermint oil.
Remember last time when I...
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that again. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the biggest offseason moves of the NFL offseason, and we'll do a little cash it or smash it. The odds to win the 2020-2021 national title out in college football. But when it comes down to it, the lines have changed a little, and we'll tell you from who. It's all coming back right here. Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Well, it's time to social distance in the perfect setting. Tiger Point Golf Club in Gulf Breeze puts the safety of their members and guests as their #1 priority. Each golfer has their own wipe-down individual cart as you play in paradise, overlooking a waterfront view for a round that costs $29 to play. Check it out for yourself. Go to tigerpointgolf.com and check out daily specials and all the precautionary measures they have taken to make sure you are safe during COVID-19. Call 932-1333 and book your tee time today at Tiger Point.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your family safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team we will get through these difficult times. And together we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll Tide.
Introducing a new podcast, ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Mina Kimes. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you.
The best sports story all day, 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
ESPN Daily. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
You and I go hard at each other like we're going to war. You and I go rough, we keep throwing things and slamming the doors. You and I get so damn dysfunctional, we start keeping score. You and I get sick, yeah, I know that we can't do this no more. Yeah, but baby, there you go again, making me love you. Yeah, I stopped using my head, let it all.
And welcome back, Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Well, right now, currently, we got a great bracket going on. You can check it out, the greatest Pensacola athlete of all time. We've been going through the top 16 athletes. We had a voting, and the top 16 athletes overall. This one right here, into the Elite Eight, we're down to 6 as of today. Bubba Watson going up against Derek Brooks. That's a solid. Out of all the matchups, how tough it was going to be picked, this one was it. I mean, to dedicate their time into this city. Derek now lives a lot in Tampa. He spends a lot of time, but he also has family up here, comes back. His kids went to Washington. They went to Florida State. He was a guy that spent time around the programs. When he comes back, he puts a lot of money into the community. I know personal stories. This is not just from like the fluff that you get from, like, he does a lot with, like, the thumbs up and, like, you're the best. None of this. Like, this is not a montage. I actually know of stuff that he calls friends. Tracy at Beef O'Brady's was telling me the other day when he was donating, they were donating a bunch of different meals out to the folks in all the hospitals. They were bringing free meal kits, and Josh Sitton was helping tons with it. Roy Jones Jr. had helped with a ton of meals. Fred Robbins, those guys. Derek heard about it, and he gave Tracy a call. They've been business partners on things before. He gave him a call and said, what can I do to help? Like, he called out of his way to say, what kind of money can I raise so those families right now, or those kids that had on the meal plans in school that now aren't eating, and maybe they ran out of the stock with the school sending home those meal plans, can now eat as a family. And he's that kind of guy. Same thing with Bubba. Lives here, breathes here. I hope he breathes here. I was going to say, I hope that's done.
Lives here, breathes elsewhere.
It's a different time we're living in. But then Bubba Watson down there at Blue Wahoo Stadium, what he does as a minority owner of the team, invest his family. I know his kid goes to the same school right there at First Baptist, and the opportunities of just seeing people.
Bubba said too much information.
No, it's not. He sees people all the time. He's not one of those kind of guys that people see Bubba everywhere. You know where to find Bubba. First off, he hangs out at Blue Wahoo Stadium in the crowd, so it's not like this guy's hiding. He loves being part of the community, and the people love Bubba. He represents a ton of what the city's about. It's going to be a tough one. And then it comes down to the most important part, the accolades. And, it's not easy to win 2 Masters. That's the one tournament. To win 2 Masters is not easy. And he's won 10 other tournaments. But then on the other hand, you got the all-time, one of the greatest players of all time on defense, a Super Bowl champion, an All-American, a guy that won a national title at Florida State, won a national title or a Super Bowl with the Bucs, and was an All-American when he was at high school at Booker T. From everywhere he's been a legend. I personally think Derek Brooks is going to win this one, but this is the closest one we've had since Doug Baldwin took on Josh Donaldson in the first round.
I agree. I think you can go either way. Personally, I'm glad I don't have to vote on this.
We lay low on this, exactly.
Yeah, it's look, both of them, like you said, represent Pensacola. That's what's so important in all this. I know this is the greatest athlete, but I also think this should be a representation of Pensacola. For everything that they've done as well. The accolades are great, but what you do to your community, for your community, that lasts a lifetime. And both these guys are just absolutely unbelievable.
We had 395 people reach out so far. 61% have gone with Derek Brooks, 39% Bubba Watson, and still time left. It's still got some time. 11 hours left for voting. I'll be up for all 11, so I might.
Sure.
But for anybody out there, weigh in on this. Be part. It's up for you guys. Pensacola, the folks around here listening are making that decision here today. It's brought to you by our friends at Tiger Point Golf Club. You can check them out there in Gulf Breeze, our Elite 8 round. And the greatest Pensacola athlete of all time is brought to you by Coins, Sports Cards, and Racing Collectibles, located right there in Gulf Breeze. Mike and the good folks can help you out. Looking at the story real quickly of our folks, I want to get into the NFL great players, but Steve Forbes, real quick, want to mention Niceville, former coach right there, had a chance to call some of their games when Northwest Florida State College was in the national title in Hutchinson, Kansas. Yep, been there. And
sorry about that.
That's all right. Had to call. And then some games in Salina. Woohoo! But he's a class act, and he's a good coach too. He's a really good X's and O's, that kind of coach on the court. Like Phil Jackson and the stories of the triangle offense and what they did. This guy knows what he's doing. And he's had an average record in 5 years at East Tennessee State of 27-6. And now he brings that talent over to a squad in the ACC at Wake Forest to get them rolling. So tip of the cap, big pickup. Anytime you can make it to the ACC in basketball, sort of the mecca of living out that dream and the opportunity to do so right there. And I think that was a solid play from what Danny Manning did before.
What did he do before?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. All right.
Solid play from the days of Danny Manning. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Little League World Series canceled for the first time due to COVID-19. They made that announcement. Kids and elderly are 2 events that are probably going to get, I've already, World Championship Shuffleboard is done. That's not happening this year. We'll see. Belarus, they're canceling that. But
I know a guy.
I know a guy, too. Pretty good at shuffleboard. Let's talk later. Come back for more. Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
An auto policy from State Farm gets you collision coverage. And this radio ad from State Farm gets you coverage of this beloved 90s hit.
I hit a car. I hit a car. car, hit a car. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. My agent's gonna help me.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Welcome to Bo!
Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. You know, snap. All your friends are gonna be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is gonna be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? This your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
There may be no games,
no practices,
no high fives,
but we're all still part of a team.
and we all have a role to play.
Right now, that means keeping our distance,
But still checking on each other, helping the most vulnerable, and supporting our heroes.
That are keeping us safe.
Sports may be paused,
But the best parts are needed now more than ever.
So let's all do our part
to help our team.
Right now.
Hashtag One Team ESPN.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. So, at Geico, we'd like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now, it's our turn to share with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. Because we're committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for more info and eligibility.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
If we ain't moving, hey, keeping it moving. Like, what are we doing? If we ain't moving, keeping it groovy.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. So the NFL is, well, hopefully about 3 months away from getting really into the thick of things. Our favorite preseason stories, I don't think we care about any of that. As long as NFL Hard Knocks, all that, let's get right to the games and hopefully make that happen. Even with or without fans, I just want to see some football. And there's been some big offseason moves. That's all we've had to hang our hats on, is something to talk about when it comes to, and it just so happened to be Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, all these lovely stories I want to talk about. Let's get to some of them right now as we take a look at the biggest NFL offseason moves, and we'll go mano a mano here, Sam Darnold's favorite segment. Here we go. Let's start things off with the matchup between Nick Foles versus Phillip Rivers. Bigger move, Nick Foles to the Bears, or Phillip Rivers to the Indianapolis Colts?
Rivers to the Colts. I think Foles, even the upside of Foles, how much better is he going to make that team? He was up and down there in Jacksonville. He's really had the one moment with Philadelphia. When I look at the Colts, they needed a quarterback. Jacoby Brissett could not open it up. This is a guy that Phillip Rivers, remember, goes back to his old coaching staff that's now at the Colts. So he's back home. He's comfortable where he had success for so many years. So great move for the Colts.
This is a really tough one just because everything from the track record of their career would say Phillip Rivers, although Nick Foles won a Super Bowl and Phillip hasn't. But that's one guy has been doing it for 15 years. The other guy's had 2 or 3 decent years. Nick Foles, though, is a guy that he was good over the last couple years. Last year, remember what he played? 6 games. We saw 5 or 6 games in Jacksonville, and we immediately made a decision on his worth over that based on what we'd seen before, which was a good quarterback. Now, the last moment Nick Foles left us with was the one that wasn't that great before. So I agree. Nick Foles, if you had to say stock up, stock down, is not looking good in Jacksonville. But a lot of people's careers have died in Jacksonville. Other people say, what happened to the Beaches last week? might die in Jacksonville. But whatever happens in Jacksonville, a lot of bad things have happened from the quarterback position, and I'm not ready to say Nick Foles can't be that guy that went straight up against Tom Brady, who threw for 500 yards and beat him in a Super Bowl with trick plays. Phillip Rivers looked dead in the water last year.
He's not led a team. Let's remember, Nick Foles has not led a team for an entire season like that either. So
I do agree. It's a tough one, though. Phillip Rivers, though, looked awful last year. I've never seen. I was a Phillip Rivers fan. Not to say he was incredible, but I was a Phillip Rivers fan, and he looked bad last year. So it's not as easy said and done. But I'll go Phillip Rivers on this. I'll go. Looking at the matchup now with Teddy Bridgewater going up against Andy Dalton in free agency. Bengals releasing Dalton, Bridgewater getting taken by the Panthers.
Wait, what's a better move?
What's a bigger game changer this offseason?
Well, I think Bridgewater over to Carolina. I think that's a no-brainer just because you don't know where Dalton's going to end up. Now, if Dalton ends up with the Patriots, maybe a different story, a team that can compete. I still think Dalton can play. I think that, look, a lot of people naysay Dalton, but this guy played for a horrible organization for so many years, brought him to the playoffs 5 times. This guy has been a Pro Bowl guy. Like, he continues to go out there and battle. I think he gets a bad rep, but why? I mean, let's go back and look at the Bengals. Because he played for some big names, look at the organization overall. I don't think it's fair to judge a guy like Andy Dalton because of where he played. It's just... It's like judging, like you were talking about Nick Foles in Jacksonville. Well, you're judging Andy Dalton with the Bengals. What have they done?
Yeah.
What have they ever really done? I mean, you go back, you have to go way back for them. So I think right now, if Andy Dalton goes to the Patriots or somebody that can compete, yeah, I'll pick him. But Teddy Bridgewater, that's a no-brainer, especially after kind of revitalizing his career.
I'm not getting the jersey no matter what.
Oh, you will?
Not buying it. Now, they do have Bill Murray on their team. You see that?
I did see that.
I'll get a Bill Murray. I hope he makes the team. Pride of the tribe, baby. William and Mary. Woo. Looking at our next one here. Biggest moves of the offseason, mano a mano. Stephon Diggs going up against Shaq Lawson for the Miami Dolphins.
Diggs. I like Diggs. I think I'm not a big fan of his. I think he's a little overrated for what he's done. We'll see now that he's out of Minnesota. I know there was a lot of problems there. He wanted to be the number 1 guy. Everybody loved Adam Thielen. Now he is the number 1 guy. There's a lot of pressure on him. This is one of those moments where, all right, you got what you wanted. Now go out and perform. Only problem is he has a quarterback that at times, I guess, forgets who he's trying to throw to or where he's trying to throw in Josh Allen. But you know what? A bigger move there, Stephon Diggs. They needed another receiver.
Looking at the matchup between, and I got to go Diggs on that one as well. I think collectively what Miami did with Van Noy, with Lawson, and with Jones, Byron Jones, was probably bigger. But no, they needed a big-time receiver. I mean, their receiving core was the worst in football outside of the Patriots. Looking at the move with what's happening with DeAndre Hopkins going up against Rob Gronkowski for the Bucs. Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals or Rob Gronkowski to the Bucs.
I'm going to go against what I really want to say, and I'm going to go Hopkins. The only reason I say that is because I don't think Gronk's going to be a full-time player. I think they're going to use him in spurts.
I think we agree. I agree
in
with that,
big-time,
yeah.
like red zone, big-time moments, things like that, where DeAndre Hopkins, he opens up that offense, who's already getting a little scary with guys like Kyler Murray. You got Christian Kirk. You got Kenyon Drake over there. They built a little bit on the offensive line. Now they got Isaiah Simmons. They're starting to build the defense a little bit. It's still a tough division, but they got weapons. And don't forget about old Larry Fitzgerald over there is going to play till he's 65. So I will say DeAndre Hopkins just because this is a top 3 receiver.
This one's going to be the toughest one of all of them. Some of the others, there was one that you could lean on. This one will be a little tougher. Melvin Gordon of the Denver Broncos versus Todd Gurley to the Atlanta Falcons.
I think more importantly, it's Todd Gurley to the Atlanta Falcons just because Devontae Freeman was gone. Now, the Broncos still have Phillip Lindsay, and he's a great back. He's done a good job for them. They still have Royce Freeman, who kind of fell off there. But now with Melvin Gordon there, it's interesting because you got more firepower. They drafted well, getting Jerry Jeudy and guys like that over there. They have Noah Fant that's coming back. They drafted another tight end out of Missouri. They're getting firepower to compete with the Chiefs. But in Atlanta, you've got offensive weapons. You needed Todd Gurley. Now, what Todd Gurley do you get? I will say personally, just because of the move, Todd Gurley, because you had to have Todd Gurley, and that NFC South is unbelievable.
I'm going to go with Gurley as well. I think Atlanta right now needs to look in the mirror and realize it's going to be a tough season. Last year, there was not one team outside the Saints that finished with a above 500 record. Second best team was 7-9. But this year, it's going to be a lot different. Carolina's getting a lot better with their coaching staff. Teddy Bridgewater's an upgrade. You got a couple key components. They did a great job in the draft, I thought. And then you bring in New Orleans, already the team really to beat out of most of the teams outside of San Francisco. Best record over all the last 3 seasons. So, yeah, I would have to go with, I think Gordon helps them win a better chance to get to the playoffs now in Denver than Atlanta, but they needed somebody. Their running game was bad. And Devonta Freeman, the injuries, and with him out, a lot different right there. And final one real quickly as we get it out. DeForest Buckner against Tom Brady. Just throw long term might be. I just had to throw your duck in there. All right, don't answer that. Don't answer. We're coming back for more Sports Drive. Second hour goes now.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Coming up on the Sports Drive, we'll talk some more NCAA. Autonomy across the board, or can they open it up from conference to conference? Commissioner Sankey weighs in on the SEC meetings. And CeeDee Lamb wearing an important jersey. They actually texted his girlfriend about it, and CeeDee said, give me that phone.
Has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher. Across the middle, it is caught for the first. It's Baldwin shaking free and sprinting down the sideline for the touchdown. His third of the day. Doug Baldwin.
Derek Brooks, who ran back 3 interceptions for touchdowns in the regular season, does it to cement the Super Bowl.
Boxing's elite, the new WBA heavyweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Baldwin beaten. The result has come up on screens that Gatlin's taken it. Goodness me, it was a blue American vest. 992 the Gatlin. 992 by the American champion to take gold.
Another Watson is wearing a green jacket at Augusta. And this time, his name is Bubba. Scores on a 34-yard touchdown run by the Doak Walker Award winner, Trent Richardson, who broke a lot of Emmitt Smith's records back in Pensacola, Florida.
And welcome back to the Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM, simulcast each and every day on Blab TV. Chad Brillante alongside JP, having some fun with you. 850-623-1330 is the number to be part of the show. Some of the stories today. NASCAR announcing Thursday that it's going to resume its season starting on May 17th. And 10 races right out of the gate. They're not playing games. Hey, listen. NASCAR is one that
they don't play games.
They don't
race.
Play games.
They race.
I mean, NASCAR is not a. I'm trying to find the right word.
Tread lightly, my friend.
Well, no, I was about to say no. This was a kind thing. This was more about social distancing. But it's a sport where you are already social distancing yourself in a car for the racer, and then for the pit crew, They can keep their distance, and most of them are like a family anyway. Those pit crews hang out right now. They're still testing. They're still going through right now, looking at everything about the car. They're researching. They're going to work. You can't keep those guys out of a garage. I've met about 25 guys that have been part of the pit crew team, and when we're down, whether it's down at Five Flag Speedway or from some of the guys we used to have on the show back in the day, when Larry McReynolds would come on the show from Fox, a NASCAR analyst, does a great job down there. He would come on every Friday and talk about everything from what's going on in Daytona when I worked in Orlando. And these guys, those pit crew, they're hanging out right now working on their cars. They're not. You'd think for 2 seconds they're sitting on the couch. That's what those bad boys love.
They have been sitting on their rigs, sitting there doing their iRacing stuff.
They have been quarantined together. And those guys are going to be okay.
Good. You're fixing to get them in trouble. Way to go, Chad.
No.
You're going to, like, you
They're
shut
all
the
family.
parks.
They just all got
shut
the
the
same
parks
name.
down already. You tennis courts and everything before when it's all started, and now you're going to get them shut down.
They're one big family, like the Roush family, the Gibbs family. They're just one big family. Penske, they're all was one big family right there. All good. I'm excited for it, though. Yeah. I've still been checking live updates of what I've sort of fell off the grid. I was tired of watching, really, this is not a joke, watching monkeys play ping pong in Moscow and things. So it sounds like punchline of a joke that was real. So I just saw Australian rules football that end up canceling. There really is still nothing going on. We haven't seen anything, which also makes you start to wonder, too. I mean, all of this takes – I hope you take in all the research. There's no point of deflecting like we do in a lot of political situations, deflecting one side. And I would know about deflecting as a patriot. But we should gather everything. And as much as on Monday a lot of people are going back to work and a lot of other things are happening, I also look at no other sport really in the world right now is getting back on its feet right away. And there were a lot of countries in Europe. There was a lot of countries all over the world that were up 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead of us when it came to going through the quarantines and what was happening. And they're not back playing or back getting their leagues started. And that's also a little bit scary too. I mean, like I said, I don't have enough information, or I'm not there to be able to decide what's best for these different leagues and what FIFA is going to end up doing with a lot of the soccer leagues or UEFA. But I will say that that's not a good sign. On the other hand, that there's not a lot of soccer leagues and stuff happening in some of these places where their leagues are still going on. So I'm not going to judge any of it, but I look at those live bets every night, and they're still same old. Esports.
All right, you're going to fix them.
I wasn't going to do esports. It was just I'll be okay.
See you swinging it back there. We're surrounded by glass. ESPN 8 The Ocho comes back Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. They're going to run until, I believe it's 10 p.m. or.
But we're not even going to get the live lawnmower games. Well, we can do that now.
Here's the thing. So they start off at, of course, at 11 our time with the world record deadlift attempt by Thor Bjornsson. Yes, that's what I'm going to say. And his last record was 1,058 pounds. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be live. That will be live. Then, of course, it goes on to professional arm wrestling, the Crystal World Hamburger Eating Competition. I feel like I've done that anyway. Cheese rolling, frog jumping, and Japanese monster wrestling. That'll be a good one. The 2018 Classic Tetris World Championship. Yeah, the 2019 Golden Tee World Championship. I'll be there. 51st annual stone skipping competition. The cherry spit. Yeah, sure. Dodge juggle, which is actually kind of interesting. Putt-putt championships. That does sound fun. Stupid Robot Fighting League. World Sign Spinning. The Jellies Marble Runs, which is actually more interesting.
Pretty cool, yeah.
The lawnmower racing. I've actually seen that before in live. That's actually it's really fun. Slippery stairs, which is always fun, watching people fall down stairs. And then death diving, which just sounds fun. So coming back, it's going to be on ESPN this time. That's the difference. It's never ESPN 8 The Ocho has never been on the main programmer there of ESPN. It's always been on 2 or ESPNU. It is going to be on ESPN. That is starting at 11 on Saturday. I tell you right now that I will be paying attention to the world record deadlift attempt. I always think that stuff's fun because he's going to be lifting over 1,058 pounds to break his own record here. So this guy's huge, by the way. Thor, you get the name Thor, you better be big. But, I mean, that's something else we're just talking about with sports starting to work its way, what we think is coming back. I liked the Ocho when it came on last time. So there you go.
Look, we have a chance right now to actually get some live Ocho games. That's the problem. They're just not going to send their crews out. Their budget is not set. If they can't get real sports back, they got a whole crew of like 50 people from ESPN out there at lawnmowers in the middle of like some Iowa area out on cornfield, like got their whole production. They got one of the overhead. You can see the helicopter overhead with like the sky cam. Put a lot of money invested in this one. Billy Bob, man's been on that tractor for 4 months getting ready for this event. The Ocho, though, is something to watch. They picked the week, though, that the beaches are opening. I think it's going to be a little. Not everybody. Look, I'm not rushing there.
Pay attention to your phone.
Live by the beach. Literally my whole life I've lived by the beach, and there's plenty of time. My house actually was on the beach at Okaloosa Island. Like you stepped out the back door and there was sand, and I still did not go every day. So I'm not going to do
lawnmower racing comes on at 8 o'clock, all right? You're not going to be at the beach. Beach will be closed by then anyway, so.
I'm going to be wherever Leighton and Brittany are anyway, probably hanging out in the backyard blowing bubbles. Peyton.
Spreading the virus.
Got to be careful. Yep, that's people. Little ticking time bombs of mucus, deadly mucus coming at people. That's what they're calling them. Sean Payton reveals that did you see that, by the way? That was pretty funny. We joked about Tommy Stevens yesterday, and it actually just goes to
there was meaning behind
it. Meaning behind it. Now, they traded up to get Tommy Stevens, a backup quarterback for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and he was at Penn State at one point. But he knew Joe Brady when he was at Penn State, and Joe Brady wanted him. And look, if Joe Brady wants a quarterback, regardless of how good he looked with Joe Moorhead or anybody, I'm going to trust Joe Brady if he wants that guy, that it could be a good match made in heaven. I think Joe Burrow is going to always send him a nice Christmas card, maybe like a Porsche for what he did in his career. Because think about it. If Joe Brady never goes to LSU, then Joe Burrow probably isn't Joe Burrow. And it's not Burrow's fault. It was always in him. We see those movies. Get up, Rock. Get up, Rock. Yo, Adrian. Doing it for someone. Rock would have never won that fight if it wasn't for those moments. And they do brisk commercials out of it. Get up, Rock. You need someone motivating you, pushing you to finally break you out of that shell. I've seen 100 Disney movies that say the same thing. But the difference is a guy like Joe Brady got it out of him. Got the most out of him. From 16 touchdowns to 60. You know what's funny is the year before, Jake Fromm went out there and threw 30 touchdowns, which Georgia is looked at. Remember, Georgia is not looked at as a passing attack. Jake Fromm led the NCAA in passing touchdowns when he was out there with the Georgia Bulldogs in 2018. Then in 2019, Joe Burrow comes out there and doubles it. Literally doubled the NCAA record. It was at 30, unless that guy. And I got that off ESPN. Now that I'm saying that sounds pretty terrible. I'm going to have to double-check this on Jake Fromm because I'm questioning what I wrote down. But I think it was – I double-checked the fact because we were looking at fifth-round stats. But your Google fingers over here. From what the guy said, though, Jake Fromm led the NCAA in passing touchdowns in 2018 with 30. And then the next season, Joe Burrow doubles it with 60. That's how good Joe Brady made him. And he's been in the NFL, remember, with the Saints. He's a little older, wiser, national championship ring with that. But now he wants Tommy Stevens in Carolina. Well, the Saints had also talked to Tommy Stevens. Remember, he's a Mississippi State boy, not too far from NOLA right there. And they had the discussions. And Carolina was going to pick him. So Stevens had pretty much, after the draft was over, unrestricted free agent. They were going to get him after the draft. Well, he pretty much told both teams, yeah, I'll look into it. And then his agent didn't get back to the calls of the Saints. They just sort of ghosted on him, completely ghosted on him. So Sean Payton's like, all right, you know what? So he trades during the draft in the 6th round, gets Tommy Stevens on the because they wanted him, and then calls Joe Brady. Remember, he used to work there for Sean Payton. Says, hey, Joe, we got your guy. We got your boy. We held your boy draft hostage here. He's not coming out. And now he's on the roster. Will he play with Drew Brees, Jameis, and Taysom Hill? No. But he won't play for Carolina in case things go south either. So one of those little spite, how do you like me now kind of thing. That happened all the time in the NFL.
Tua led the SEC with 43, and then Fromm had 30. So just to give you an idea.
That stat sounded was Fromm second?
In the SEC, yes.
Because that stat sounded so misleading.
Tua had 43. So
once again,
Dwayne Haskins led the nation with 50.
None of that when I said it. It didn't say, but somebody had it. Like I said, Bob Stoops also the new coach of Florida State.
I'm 28.
Breaking. Bob Stoops, new coach. Florida State's just coming in right now. Get it while it's hot. But
easy.
Hey, listen. You turn the dial to another station, you're going to get more crap. So I'm just saying.
You're stuck.
You're stuck
Basically
either
what you
way.
just said.
8 billion people
Well,
have died
tough.
from the coronavirus.
You're stuck
according-
here.
But I have to say right now that, that anytime I say something and then it doesn't even sound good when I didn't just make that up. There is. I'm going to find whoever said that. We're going to find that person.
You're welcome.
I think it was NFL.com that wrote that.
That's what I'm here for.
Fifth rounder. I'm going to get over this, but at the same time, Jake Fromm.
Wasn't Brian Lewerke, you can bet that.
No, I'm trying to find a way to make it sound like he led in something in order. Out of
Jake
everybody
Bentley
named
had
Fromm,
27.
out of all the Jakes, he led college football and made that happen. Felt like Drew Lock had more that year too. You know what? Moving on from that. Looking at the situation right now in NCAA football. All right, we know Trevor Lawrence is going to be the guy. He's going to be the man. So Trevor Lawrence, Andy Dalton this year, the Red Rocket, Cam Newton flying in on his umbrella right there, singing a Mary Poppins tune in his capris that are probably cheetah colored. And then he decides to pump that iron, go out there, play some football. Would you rather have Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, or tank for Trevor for your team for just this year? We're talking this year alone. Dalton, Newton, or tank for Trevor, because I might be living this life based on who is on the roster in New England. So I'm actually asking this question on behalf of this might be my life coming up here in September.
Because of who you're talking about, there's not going to be any tanking. We know that.
Belichick would never be up to schemes, though? Maybe, like I said.
Not to this extent. This would draw the line here.
What if he takes a, quote, vacation? Look, he couldn't even be on the draft. His Husky dog, Nike, had to pick the draft for him.
Yeah,
I mean.
Didn't look like it that way, too. But no, I would go. If I had to pick a guy for that system, I would go Andy Dalton because of the style player. If you go pure talent, you go Cam Newton. And then if you just know that there's no chance, like you're going to make the playoffs or anything, then of course you could tank for somebody. But when I look at it, Bill Belichick's not going to tank for somebody, even if it's somebody like Trevor Lawrence. We'll see. I think too though. Trevor Lawrence he got told on in that championship game. I know it's this is something that defense wasn't like unbelievably stopping everybody, and they made Trevor Lawrence look very, very human. Now I'm still a believer in Trevor Lawrence. What I will say though is that they did make you think for a second that maybe Trevor Lawrence is a little bit different than what we thought, especially when you were comparing him to Joe Burrow. But I'm still a believer in him. I don't know. I still think a guy like Justin Fields may surprise people too with the season he'll have.
Dave Aranda completely outcoached that offense.
Completely.
Still.
Wasn't even close.
I mean, it was the plays. Think about it. The end game ended up being what? The final score was it 31-17, 31-14? I mean, there's more points than that, I think, right? Ended up being, was it 38-21? So I mean, it got, I want to say 38-21, something like that. What was the final score there?
That's not the one. That's definitely not.
Whoa, get that off the computer.
Whoops.
No matter what.
42-25.
42-20, 17 points. Okay, I had 38-21. It was 17 points, but 42-25. But remember, at one point, Clemson had a touchdown lead in that game right before halftime. I mean, even into the third quarter, they had a lead at one point. The difference was they didn't run the ball a lot with ATN. They tried to go big bad. They tried to puff their chest and do exactly what LSU did better than anyone. Like Alabama for so many years, what LSU tried to do is be Alabama 2.0 in their own version because they had the athletes. But you weren't going to beat Nick Saban when you were Les Miles all those years doing exactly what they did. They were doing that run, pound it right down your throat. We got big hosses up front. They're going to be drafted in the NFL draft. We got a couple speedsters on the outside. And we got a quarterback that needs to be a game manager. And our defense is loaded with guys at the next level. The difference was Alabama was doing it with about 4 or 5 more 5-stars. Alabama goes on and they win the national title, and LSU always finished around 7 or 8. So then all of a sudden, both of those teams last year started to wheel it downfield. Tua is not 100%. LSU's doing it as good as anybody in the country. You can't stop them. And Clemson had done that. But they get this lead, and 3 times out of the gate, they had to punt instead of try to milk the clock where they could have won the interior battle with the ATN. And they didn't. And I'm not saying they would have won the national champion. I'm definitely not saying. Look, I'm also claiming it as a UCF guy married to an LSU gal that I'm claiming half that trophy. So you're not taking that away. Go Tigers. But I will say that game could have been closer or Clemson could have been different. They got outcoached. They were outcoached, and I'm saying it. Dabo Swinney's outcoached elite coaches, Hall of Fame coaches before. He is a Hall of Fame coach. One of the best. But he got outcoached in that too.
I don't necessarily know if it's as much about outcoaching as much as playing a soft schedule all year long. Now, it's not their fault.
That's a huge part of it.
LSU went against 7 top 10 teams. There were 6 top 10 teams before they played Clemson there. They went against the best, and they had battled all year long. We had saw that LSU defense transform early in the season. This was a team that was giving up all kinds of yards to a team like Ole Miss, who we watch outside of that game, and they can't find the end zone to save their life. So this is something, it was interesting to watch that team grow. That's where I go, that was a team of destiny. But when you look at Clemson, they can't help playing in the ACC. They can't. People want to dog them. Well, what are they supposed to do? Jump over the SEC? It's just not that easy for them. It's something that you can talk about. You can bring the same argument up for a team like Alabama. You look at them compared to Indiana. You get crucified mentioning that, but look at the schedule. Look at the toughness of it. It's something that, once again, these schedules are made so far in advance. I'm not dogging Alabama. What I'm saying is these schedules are made so far in advance, it's different. When you look at Clemson, they were a fantastic team, but until anybody knows playing high school, you got your scrubs over there, your scout team defense. If your offense goes against nothing but scout team defense for 2-3 weeks leading up to the season, and you got a big opponent coming up, you have to be that much better than everybody else in order to win that. The reason I say that's why it's so important you get your ones versus your ones, so you can really learn how to beat the other guy there. That's what I look at the Clemson. Look, they rolled into this thing. Ohio State, look at the beginning of that game. People were like, whoa, Ohio State jumped out all over them. It's because, I believe, they just hadn't played anybody. Like, they just had not played anybody. Then you look at a team like Clemson, which was not going to be stopped anyway, and they just couldn't survive. They tried to hang on as long as they could, and in the end, LSU just pulled away.
I just don't we watched that game up there. You left. We did the show down there at World of Beer. And the thing is, Joe Burrow can hit you so quick. When it was 17-7 Clemson, it went boom, 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 and the touchdowns were coming so fast. And you knew that. Jamar Chase, the best player maybe in the country next year. We talked about Jerry Jeudy and the qualities of what Alabama had, and he was going to get drafted early. Jamar Chase is going to be a top pending any injury, he's already locked to be a lottery pick next year. Guy's a freak. I mean, Justin Jefferson, who was already locked in as a number 1 first-round type talent, and he fell a little – I think he fell, honestly, after that game because of all the attention Jamar Chase was getting. But I saw mock drafts before the national title that had Justin Jefferson going as low as 8, and then he fell to 21, which for wide receivers, you can go from 5 to 20 real fast based on the needs, because a lot of teams aren't looking at wide receiver first. Usually go big O tackle, go for a quarterback needs these days, or a defensive edge player. You get those 3 all the time. Cornerbacks and wide receivers, you better need that in order to go in the first round. But when you talk about a guy like Jamar Chase, it's a freak of nature, what he did. When people say LSU plays that game 10 times and they win 10 times kind of thing, you know, that there are those that, like Alabama playing Notre Dame. No, look, we got plenty of Fighting Irish. Jeff Wayne's out there listening. Anybody that has any Irish ties or lives in this country, Notre Dame fans are everywhere. There are many Irish bars named after him. But I will tell you, and they're probably liking their self-quarantine right now. But I will say, for Notre Dame, they could have played against Eddie Lacy before the P90X and everything steamrolling over that down in the Orange Bowl, and they would have lost all 10 of those games for sure, the way that game went down. When Miami played against Nebraska back in 2001 in Pasadena, I was at that game, and they were up 28-0 at half. Jonathan Vilma's just crushing people. They would have won 10 times. I don't believe that if LSU and Clemson play that game 10 times, that LSU wins 10 times. I really truly believe, after what I saw, was LSU was the better team. Not taking that away at all. But I think that a couple things go differently in that game, and Clemson could have won that game. The end score of 42-25 doesn't represent that at one point that game was sitting there at 14-7? It was 14-7 in that game over halfway through that game. So Clemson with the lead. Clemson did the same thing against Ohio State. I thought all 3 of those teams last year could have beat any of those teams on any given day. But after what we saw, LSU was the better football team and ended up being the better football team. But those three all were deserved. Whoever won that, all three were deserving of being called champions last year. And LSU clearly proved that they were the best of the best, and they did it by going up against the hardest schedule in the history of college football. So I'm not taking anything. That was the best college football season, to me, in the history of college football for what they accomplished.
Well, you take Ohio State against Clemson, and if you take away that targeting penalty, which sparked Clemson, which sparked that big run by Trevor Lawrence there, you could have Ohio State and LSU.
Yeah.
So I'll agree with that. I think this is a team, like I said, it was a team of destiny. What I mean is not that they're that much better than everybody else, but they just were not going to be beat. We saw that with Clemson before, a team that, you know what, you look at Alabama and how talented they were. This is a team that Clemson rolls in as kind of the new kid in town. Everybody's like, yeah, right, get out of here. Like, Alabama's been doing this for a while now. Saban has, he has solidified himself. This Alabama squad, they rolled in as a little almost overconfident. But Clemson was just that they weren't going to lose. It was a team that banded together, and that's the same story that you look at LSU. Joe Burrow was asked, when did you guys realize that you were going to be this good? And he said, well, after the last season. That's when we came together in the spring, and we said, this is it. This is a really good team. And they actually had film of him talking about that. And I know it's oh, yeah, everybody says that. Well, this team was different. They just played different. Ed O was a different style coach, a great family. You look at Dabo and the family they've created there. These were two teams that were just so much fun to watch. But I agree with you. I think that, look, either one out of those three teams, and I'll include Ohio State because that game changed once that targeting penalty was implemented. And then Trevor Lawrence, look, Ohio State was shutting them down in every way of what they were trying to do. Trevor Lawrence breaks off a big run. That's how he does it, and he takes it to the end zone. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah. Quote from Maya Angelou. You know who that is, actually? About
Oh, wow.
Maya Angelou right here.
Still around.
Sometimes it takes a team from the desert to beat you to realize that you're not a champion. Wow. Good value. I mean, she's throwing it out there. I don't know who she's talking about in this case, but she references it with a picture of a duck on this. So, Maya, weighing in on the show here. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, look at this. Inspirational words today. Coming back for more Sports Drive.
What'd you do this time, Brad?
I'm in the doghouse after my hunting trip last weekend.
Yeah, I was too. I blew off our date.
How'd you get out of the doghouse?
Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. I got her a gift card. It took 3 minutes at swmedspa.com. She booked it this Saturday.
Saturday? So 9 holes then?
Tea time's at 8.
To enjoy a hassle-free guys weekend, treat her to a gift card from Stillwater's Day in Medical Spa. Follow Stillwater's on Facebook or Instagram to enter contests and win great prizes. Or visit swmedspa.com.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Locally owned Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Tadalafil, the FDA-approved generic for Cialis, is now here, and the cost savings are huge. Save 80% on the 20-milligram tablets, 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy, 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola, and cash in on the savings today.
ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Pensacola's home to hometown sports, covering the biggest high school games. UWF football, catching every game of the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Plus, local sports commentary with the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. And weekend sports talk with Davis Allen and Justin Patrick on the Sports Call. We are local. We are ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
2 Men in a Truck is the leader in all things moving. During this difficult time in our country, we're here to help you. As the movers who care, we're taking all necessary precautions to protect you, your belongings, and our employees daily. In Florida, moving is an essential service to ensure shelter or the delivery of supplies, and we're open to help meet all your home or business moving needs. For more information on how 2 Men in a Truck is handling the coronavirus or to book a move today, visit 2meninatruck.com. That's 2meninatruck.com.
We do sports, and that's all we do. We're your hometown sports station. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Tell the DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell them play that shit again, tell them that you like that line. DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell the DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell the DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell them play that shit again, tell them turn up the bass. DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell the DJ turn it up, better DJ bring it back. Tell the DJ turn it up.
And welcome back, Sports Drive. It is 6:28 on this Thursday. Got the day right, at least. 850-623-1330 is the number to be part of the show. As SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, he was on 1010XL Radio today. Brent Baird of Lindy Sports, and he does a show on there as well. A couple other guys, Ryan Bonifant, used to work with him, is another guy that they got a good group over there. And with Georgia and Florida, two teams they cover in the Jacksonville area heavily, it's obviously going to get a lot of people on. Greg Sankey was talking to him and said, if there's a couple of programs that aren't able, that shouldn't stop everyone. I'm not sure it does, he said. And he said, but the ability for us to stay connected will remain important. That's what we said. And this is going to be one of those kind of years where it's not the norm, but there are going to be some areas where it's going to be very tough to start football. Because remember, it gets real political when you're talking college football. There's a lot of things that go into it. Compared to other teams that, heck, they're opening them. Arkansas has been running horses out there for like a month and a half out there.
Iowa just announced that their president at the University of Iowa said the school's football team will resume activities after June 1st. That's their plan. They said with everything going on right now. Yeah. So there you go.
The list of teams that were like ready to get back to practice, it was like Iowa, Northern Iowa, Iowa State, Central Iowa individual. So Iowa's like, let's get back.
At least
out
we'll
of
get
the
to watch
field.
Iowa play.
Heck yeah, Michigan and Mike Gundy, he's going to be out there. He's like, the boys are sitting out there around Stillwater, right there. T. Boone Pickens, and they're waiting at that field right now to they probably got campers out there. He probably bought everybody and every family an RV. To the second the announcement's made, it's like one of those camps as a kid where that assistant coach comes through the hallway with like one of those two frying pans. He's like, get up! Sitting there at 6 a.m. Come on! Parents paid for this crap. Let's get out there. He's going to be like blowing a whistle, getting them ready. Come on, boys. Let's get out there. Let's get out there. Haircuts are essential. I got to get this thing clipped, and then we're looking at the his words, though. It's going to be true. Because a city think about it, Philadelphia, been to city of brotherly love right there, boot Santa Claus. But cool. Philadelphia, there's a less chance. They have the 5 schools, if anybody's been to Philadelphia. You got your schools like Penn, you got Temple, you got Villanova.
You still lost me.
LaSalle, the school's right there in the mix.
Continue. Any prominence? Any kind of prominence? All right, that's fine.
So you got all the schools right there, and Penn State's not too far.
Okay, now we're talking.
But that's not Philadelphia, but I know.
We'll take it. It's close enough.
So you're sitting there, though, with the schools up and the numbers in Philadelphia. Temple's probably not going to go out there and play, even though there's schools in the SEC that can. You see what I'm saying? Well, I need to break this chart down. It sounds like Sesame Street. But all I have to tell you is there are going to be many schools that can't play and others that can, and it's going to lead to, we should do it, we shouldn't do it. And they're going to have to make decisions.
That's fine.
It's not going to be easy.
Temple and LaSalle and Villanova can
get them out of it.
They're okay.
Frankly, it's going to come down, and this is my honest to God opinion, it should come down to very similar like the beach this week. There are thousands of people in this area that still don't want to go back to the beach. Then don't go to the beach. Hang out with your family. Go put your mask on and do everything normal. And I'm not judging anybody that doesn't want to go back. I talked to my wife actually, and we go down to the beach almost every weekend. It's a perfect place way away, down further near Peg Lake Pete's, and keep on going. And guess
now
what?
People know about it.
No. There's plenty. Please, there's plenty of people to go around. You know what's not right there?
Layton's favorite spot.
There's not a place overlooking any water that sells too many bushwhackers. So most people are not going to hang out there. That's why people go there. But families, they go way down there to self-isolate anyway. But I will tell you, you know what? We're not going yet because not everybody feels comfortable. And that's okay. But if the teams want to go back and they feel they're ready, it should be okay for those teams to play and some not. And I'm not talking about a 50-50 split. If this comes down to out of the 125 teams in FBS football right now, is it 130 now? 130. Are we at 130 now? Shoot, added a couple teams. UConn's not doing justice for it, but they just got paid $2.9 million as an FBS school to get beat by Ohio State. But no, 130. So if it's at 70 to 60, then we got to look this in the mirror and say, okay. But if it's 110 and 20 schools in some of these major cities we know, like New York and places like Philadelphia that might not be ready coming up here in the fall, and football's not a number one priority anyway when it comes to college football, we got to look at this. And right now, like you said, way too much time. But Greg Sankey said, for a commissioner to say that, instead of your political, well, we will all sit together and we will look each other in the eye and decide together what is best for the state of college football. And then everybody claps, and he didn't really ever tell you anything. Besides that, he actually said, hey, look, some schools might need to play and some might not. And that takes some cojones to say.
My question in all this is if they do go to the whole conference schedule, like they're talking about we'll play a conference schedule. What do independent league schools do? What does Notre Dame do?
They got to pay off the Peacock money. Come on.
Saying though, but how does that work? Finally get Notre Dame in a flipping conference?
I'll call Joe Theismann tomorrow. Let's see. He's been golfing.
He was on the show the other day.
Was he?
Yeah. Having a good old time.
Coaches beat me to the punch on the cell calls.
He
I'm
is.
just joking. Let me see. NFL coach, guy just on local radio. Okay, yeah. I'd go with Coach K too, but it's that's pretty cool. We'll get Joe. Joe will call. I'll text. Give him a text afterwards to see if he wants to
hit him up.
Get right now. Joe, come on. Just put him on one of those Zoom conference calls. Hey, how'd you get mine? No, I do have his email. Let's Zoom him right now. We can send him an invite.
Don't do
that. That worked out good, right? The first time we tried that, Zoom while we were live on TV and radio at the same time.
Yeah, that was great.
It's a disaster with 6 different types of things going on at one. I think it will, but way too early to make that call.
Did you want me to go through the 130 FBS programs, by the way?
No.
Okay.
No, I do not.
Coastal Carolina and
Liberty.
Go to the
ones
joined.
that were just okay. Liberty. All right.
So
fine.
2014, I think that's about as recent. Then 2017 is when Liberty and those were added in Coastal Carolina. 2014 was App State. Then you go through 2015 was Charlotte 49ers. Like I said, 2017 Coastal Carolina. 2014 Georgia Southern was added. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, Liberty in 2017. And then you keep looking. 2014, Old Dominion. What would we do without them?
Georgia Southern got an automatic bid, right? After a swamp visit, was it?
Yeah, probably. Well, they should have. Then I think that was about it. Yeah.
Just kidding.
There you go.
UCF's not good again. Sorry.
Can we get Vanderbilt out? No, that's fine.
No,
that's fine.
Got to get the GPAs.
Vanderbilt is only in their they've played 116 seasons, and they've been to 9 bowl games. 9 bowl games.
Commodores.
3 of those were back to back by who? Name that coach. Recent, not too far.
James Franklin.
There you go. He took them to 3 of their 9 in back to back seasons. In 116 years, the most games they ever won was 9 games.
Derek Mason better be taking his assistant coaches to the bar afterwards because it's been rough. He always looks like he's ready for war,
and
though.
Then you look at baseball, and those guys dominate everybody, just pure domination.
How many grenade phasers do you think Derek Mason has in that jacket? Think about that thing.
Well,
he looks like he's ready to either go to like one of those. If he put on a shade, like the really cool shades, it looked like he's playing the coolest game of paintball, or he'd be in like SEAL Team 6, one of those movies.
I see SEAL Team 6.
I could see that every time, immediately. Yeah. And he yells at the ref a lot. He's got a lot of passion. He seems like a good guy. You don't coach Vanderbilt if you're not educated, but he seems like a good guy. But at the same time, he also is at Vanderbilt. So you're going to be yelling at the referee a lot more when you're playing Georgia, Florida, schools like Alabama, because you're going to get trounced, and it's just a matter of time. So there's going to be calls. You get a little salty when your team loses the Tennessee Titans in the first round of the playoffs. It happens. You can get salty, and things happen. But Vanderbilt, yeah, they're definitely.
Well, you ever been to a Vandy football game?
I've been on campus, yeah.
Yeah, I've been to a couple Vandy football games, and
been kicked out of 2 dorm rooms.
It's not good.
I love Nashville.
They have. I mean, I feel bad for Derek Mason. I like Derek Mason. I think he's a great coach. I think he's in a horrible place, but he also has had other offers to go elsewhere. But he likes it there.
Penn State's a great. Penn State now for Franklin. I know you're talking about Mason, but from Penn State,
I want to keep talking about the Titans. So hurry up.
you agree or disagree? James Franklin going from Vanderbilt to Penn State was a jump up.
It's tough. At the time, probably not, but yeah.
At the time, you're right.
At the time, no.
To take over the Penn State program that's not an easy job.
That's like Matt Rule.
They allowed Bill O'Brien on campus.
Think about Matt Rule taking over Baylor. Just think about that too. Like the coaches that jump into these, and then look what they've done with them.
If Houston was allowed right now to go back to a time machine and send Bill O'Brien back, would they?
Yeah, probably.
But he gets stuck in some wormhole though because Penn State's not getting him back. He's like, no, to send him. Somebody take me.
They just close the doors on both of them and lock him in there, and he's in purgatory now.
We got to go to a break. When we come back, well, I'm watching some kind of dance with Venus Williams right now going on. Is this a workout?
Bill O'Brien in purgatory.
Oh, this is cool actually. This is a live virtual tennis game with Venus Williams versus Rob Gronkowski. Is that who that is?
I don't know if it's right. I know she.
It is. It's Gronk versus Venus Williams in a virtual tennis match. Wow, they're full of it. They're doing the Don't even need. There's not even a ball. Fake news. Coming back for more Sports Drive on ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
JP here. Everyone here at ESPN Pensacola wants to send a shout out to our first responders and healthcare workers at this time. We know it's tough, but we appreciate the work you put day in and day out. We also want to thank our essential workers out there for helping all of us continue to live our lives as normal as possible in this time. For our community, keep rocking it. We are going to get through this. Remember, we were named the #1 strong town in America. That wasn't by accident. We have seen so many people step up and do their part, and we thank all those people for their efforts. We will be stronger for this, and together, we will beat COVID-19. For here at ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. At the 1900 Summer Games in Paris, live pigeon shooting was an actual event. The event actually entailed hundreds of pigeons being released in front of the competitors, who sat back and slaughtered them. I don't think that would fly today. In further proof that they don't make them like they used to, Cleveland Indians pitcher Ray Caldwell recorded a complete game against the Philadelphia A's in 1919. After he was struck by lightning in the middle of the 9th inning, Caldwell shook it off and got the final out for the win. That's your Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP.
And welcome back, Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Some of the news today, Andy Dalton is a free agent.
Not for long.
Now, yeah.
Be a Pat soon.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't want. He will be, probably, though. Wake Forest hires Steve Forbes, also a man with the blue check mark that is Forbes magazine, but East Tennessee State coach 5 years. He was the coach at Niceville right there for Northwest Florida State College. Did a great job there. He actually had Chris Jones, who was a transfer who ended up going to Louisville and ended up doing a couple things off the court. But he was also part of a championship run. That was part of that national title run, Pitino. I don't know if they still own that trophy, but, it is what it is. Wake Forest, though, right there is a school in the ACC that, you know what, it's Tim Duncan, Chris Paul.
I still think it's
been a while since.
Absolute
As
Bush
kids,
League
they
what
were
did.
awesome. As kids, we love them.
It's Bush League what they did, though. It's
Remember
still
when-
100% Bush League. You ask your employees to take pay cuts, and it's a few hours after that, they pay the buyout of $16.5 million.
But if they didn't pay the buyout, they wouldn't have been able to get Steve Forbes. Maybe they had to do that.
Steve Forbes still would have been available, but if you wait just a little bit. But you don't
Listen.
ask your employees to tell you guys, listen, times
live
are
in a
tough.
busy
We need to
time
take a
right
pay
now.
cut. Need everybody to take a pay cut. All right. A couple hours later, you get the email. Hey, everybody, look, he's gone. We bought him out, $16.5 million to let him walk.
Ton of stuff going on right now. They have to hurry. There's nobody sitting on the couch. Nobody.
I can't
make
believe
things
that.
happen.
That is unbelievably horrible.
CeeDee Lamb's going to wear 88.
That's a curse.
Historic Michael Irvin, Drew Pearson, Des Bryant wore that number before. Means something right there.
It's cursed.
Jerry Jones, I
Des
believe,
Bryant.
turns 88 coming up here soon. So, listen.
Not for a few years, but yeah, close enough.
Close
I
enough
guess.
right there.
I
Hey,
think-
look, I've always said if I make it 80, I'm happy. It's just, you know how much Red Bull and stuff we drink. So, 88? Jerry Jones, what, 84? For him to still be able to be part of everything that he does? Hey, I hope I have half of what Jerry Jones has going on. Someone's like, well, yeah, that would make you only
77.
Is he really? I just completely
That's
aged
what I
him
was
11
thinking. You
years
said
on that one
88,
right
and I
there.
was
Okay,
like-
that's a little disrespectful, but I really heard that one up. I thought he was 80 by now. But Jerry Jones is still, look, he has aged a ton in the last couple of years. If you look at, I've been watching a lot. Dallas has been shown, they know what they're doing on ESPN. They're showing teams like the LA Lakers and Boston Celtics a ton in basketball. They'll show teams like the Red Sox and Yankees and Cubs and Braves in baseball. They're showing the teams with the biggest fan bases. I caught on to the games a long time ago. But they show a ton of Dallas Cowboy football games. And Jerry Jones, when Tony Romo was throwing the pigskin out there like 5 years ago, they showed that game against the Bills a couple of nights. That was one of the most exciting football games. It was one of the most horrendous endings for both of those teams and their blood pressure. But I will tell you, did you see that game a couple nights ago when Dallas was playing against Buffalo, the end of that? That was must-see TV. I got to say, out of every game in the quarantine, Aaron blanking Boone, I can't believe they showed that one. But out of all the games in the quarantine, that one had me the most excited because I had forgot the outcome of who actually won it. And it was when Nick Folk went in there and he kicked a 53-yarder. And it was when Dick Duran, he had called a timeout, but nobody else heard it, and they're celebrating. And then they called him back on the field for a 53-yarder, and he kicked it again. But what people don't get is Dallas was down by 14 points with like 3 minutes left. Romo scored a couple touchdowns, and then they needed a 2-point conversion at the end. Actually, they were down 15, and they didn't get it. Terrell Owens dropped 2 important catches right in his hands. So T.O. misses the play, and with like 13 seconds, they kick it on sides and get the ball back. And they get the ball back, and everybody in Buffalo's like, you got to be kidding me. So then they throw a completion, and they got out of bounds, and everybody's celebrating. Well, T.O. didn't catch that ball either. It actually hits the ground. They review it, and then they realize that now they have to have one play out of bounds. And they find Sam Hurd before he ended up in jail for about 80 kilos. It's a true story. When he was in Chicago, he was a drug runner. He wasn't just a drug runner. He was like a kingpin going on out there, like 80 bricks. And Sam Hurd makes the big play, goes out on the sidelines, and then ends up the next play, Nick Folk hits a 53-yarder twice, and Wade Phillips gets to celebrate like the face of a barbecue sauce bottle. It was incredible. That was one of the most enthralling games that I've watched. But Jerry looked a lot younger, and he was. It's about 11 years ago, but he's aged a ton in the last couple of years. He's going to age a ton more. At Casher's Smash at Dallas will make the NFC Championship game this year.
Smash.
Okay.
They'll win the division, but that
was supposed to happen last year.
They had a good draft this year, I will say
They
that.
did have a good draft, yeah. And they're getting some key guys back. But Boss Friedrich on the line. Got another huge Wisconsin guy on the line, too. But
I don't think he's going to be ready
he's
right away.
got a couple years.
It's no, I think, but CeeDee Lamb helps him out. You have Amari Cooper, you signed him. Dak's going to sign. Listen, this whole Dak thing is Dak, Dak has all the leverage. Okay, well, Dak, you know what, right now, go ahead and sit out a year. I mean, that's I get it, but you're talking about this. I go back and forth on this all the time just because initially Dak wanted a long-term deal. Then they give him a long-term deal, and he goes, oh, they actually gave me what I wanted? All right, no, I want a 4-year deal. All right? Yeah, that's what I want. So I don't understand it. I understand, look, a guy, I will never tell somebody take less money, ever. I just don't. Look, you go get your money. Go get it while you can, because who knows, you're one injury away from it being taken away from you forever. But at the same time, they do what you want them to do, and then you turn around and go, no, I want a shorter deal, because you find out that you're going to be able to renegotiate when you're talking about the players getting money here, so you can get a big-time deal. Look, you know what? This guy wants to be one of the top 3 paid guys. You're not a top 3 quarterback, my man. I'm sorry. I mean, I respect the heck out of him. I think he's a top 10 guy for sure, no doubt. Not even a question mark on that. But it's what have you done? And I know that's not all his fault. It's not. But this is a guy that, well, what have you done? I mean, when you look at it, they put people around him to succeed. It's like I said, I know it's not all his fault. The offense has been good, but not great at times. They've floundered big time. I look at this whole thing and like the Cowboys look like the bad guys in all this, but they've actually tried to do what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Like he wanted this so many $30-something million. Well, they were willing to offer it to him. He wanted a long-term deal. Now he wants a short-term deal. They gave him the long-term. Now he says, no, I don't want a 5-year deal. I want a 4-year. Well, that's where I go back on this. Okay, so I said before, I would, for the Cowboys, I'm surprised Jerry Jones didn't try to move on. If this was Jerry Jones, he would have moved on. But his son being there, Stephen Jones is trying to take the reins on things, and Stephen Jones has helped them. Look, they need Dak. They do. But at the same time, Dak needs the Cowboys too. Let's remember that. And
let's be real here. No matter who I inserted here, they upgraded at coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So they got Mike McCarthy, who I think is a pretty solid coach. And look, if you were able to deal with Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback, and he's one of those guys. I'm watching one of these shows right now on TV that, on the surface, one of these kind of guys that like, hey, and then behind the scenes, just complete dirtbag. Well, Aaron is not a complete dirtbag. I'm not saying that, but he's not the nicest guy outside of the world of football. If you talk to anybody, his brother doesn't talk to him. His parents really don't talk to him. A lot of people, remember, more people probably know his brother these days, Jordan, because of what he did on The Bachelor. I'm just saying, so Jordan Rodgers is like, I don't talk to my brother. A lot of these people don't.
He's his brother has hung on to that Rodgers name and taken it far. So,
but his family doesn't really talk to him. A lot of people don't. And Mike McCarthy said that they didn't always get along. He said a lot of things, but Mike also was able to deal with Aaron for a long time. And there's more to the story of why they keep not getting him receivers. I heard a guy trying to make a complete excuses today on on the NFL Network of why Green Bay should be fine at receiver. Like, well, at one point, Devin Funchess played for Michigan, and, his name's Devin, and, Funchess is, like, okay, we're breaking down, we're going to do pronouns and verbs next, or are we going to say he's got a first-round pick? Here's a ditty for you. Aaron Rodgers, compared to all the quarterbacks, did you see the stat? He's had one completion ever in his career to a first-round pick.
Yeah.
One completion. Where, like, Tom Brady, who's thrown to some complete, Mr. Hydes of the world, not the Dr. Jekylls, and throwing to guys out there that were nobodies, still had 126. You had some guys like Phillip Rivers, who's had a lot of good weapons, who had like 370. One. Aaron Rodgers has – don't try to convince anybody that Devin Funchess, Alan Lazard, Vontez Scanling, and Jake Kumro are going to be a great match made in heaven outside of Devontae Adams, who really earned that right because he came from somewhere and got the opportunity. And he's a good receiver. He's worth it, but he's also hurt a lot. They didn't give him anybody. And the guy was making an excuse, well, they felt like they wanted this guy at receiver, and they were all off the board. They wanted Denzel Mims, and then somebody took him right before that. They wanted Justin Jefferson. Stop it.
These guys were on the board, by the way, in the first round.
You traded up. And you traded up to take Jordan Love, who shouldn't.
Project. He's a project.
He's not. The Aaron Rodgers move, when Brett Favre, there was a sign that the times were changing. Even though Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat San Francisco, we could have inserted 30 other teams last year to answer that question. losing to San Francisco at San Francisco doesn't make you a bad quarterback. Look what Kirk Cousins did to New Orleans, and then what he did the next week in San Francisco. Beating San Fran and that defense in San Fran was not going to happen to anybody last year.
Insane for people that said Aaron Rodgers is look at the way he played this year. All his numbers are down. Well, who on God's green earth was he throwing to this year? Tom Brady's numbers were down too. And guess what? Who was he throwing to? Devontae Adams was out for plenty of games this year.
They could have got anybody.
His numbers are going
Jimmy
to
Graham.
be down.
Yeah, they didn't help him at all. Here. That was a Green Bay can make excuse. That was a horrible draft. And this is coming from a Pats fan that didn't even get to watch a pick in the first round. And a puppy dog from Alaska was making the selections. We'll come back for more. Sports Drive, ESPN Pensacola, Blab TV.
Cute dog.
It was.
Bowling is a sport that will last you a lifetime, and at Cordova Lanes on Airport Boulevard, every night there is something exciting happening. Like on Tuesday and Thursday, it's penny a pin. Bowl 100, pay $1. Or how about starting your weekend off right by reserving a lane for just $25 at Moonlight Bowling. Enjoy a fresh-made pizza and the lowest pitcher prices in Pensacola. So what are you waiting for? It's time to roll your way into Cordova Lanes and experience fun like never before.
Football season never ends on Talk Football with Coach K.
Stidham is tearing it up at New England. He may well be the incumbent to Tom Brady there.
Former head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Coach K brings his expertise as he breaks down the game, the players, the coaches, and the front office. Plus, high-profile interviews from the biggest names in football. Talk Football with Coach K every weekday from noon till 1 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 FM 99.1.
Economic development, better schools, law enforcement, and public safety. Just a few of the issues that are on the minds of residents of Santa Rosa County. Twice a month, we take the time to recap the news events that shape and resolve the issues that affect our daily lives. Join us tonight for Focus on Santa Rosa, a 30-minute look back at the past 2 weeks of local news coverage by ESPN's sister station, News Radio 92.3 AM 1620. Focus on Santa Rosa, tonight at 8 on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to, big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Keep it down. Don't wait around for a signal now. Give me some verb, I ain't checking out. You wanna ride in the 6, you wanna dine in the 6. But when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. And I'm like, hell no.
And welcome back. Final segment of the Sports Drive goes now. ESPN Pensacola and Blab TV. Right now, if you're looking for something good to do out there, well, people are out in their fishing boats having fun. Perfect place to self-isolate with family. And Reel It In America, Fish for a Cause. Pensacola Sports right now has teamed up with this. It's a 1-week-long virtual fishing tournament and is open to all anglers along the Gulf Coast. You have a chance to, what you do is you can catch a fish and then send it in to ihelpveterans.org. You can check it out right there, an organization to help and chance to send in your fish virtually and have a chance to win some big prizes. That's amazing right there. We'll keep you up to date with all the times and all that. For everybody at Blab TV, ESPN Pensacola, thanks to JP, Chad Brillante, Hank back in the studio. God bless.
You wanna dine in the 6. And when I lean for the kiss, you said I'll probably send you some pics. I'm like, hell no, been waiting too long. Hell no, I want that cruel love. Hell no, been waiting too long. Hell
It's time for your ESPN Pensacola headlines. Well, we just talked about you still have time to sign up for the virtual fishing tournaments going on. You can go to reelitinamerica.com to sign up. To sign up, reelitinamerica.com. The money going to ihelpveterans.org, an opportunity to give back to relief. $2.5 million already during COVID-19 has helped to this amazing cause. Well, when it comes down to Andy Dalton, he's one of the last ones to be released, but teams still need quarterbacks. Cam Newton and Andy Dalton still the big names now that Jameis Winston is on New Orleans as a backup. And with Drew Brees with 1 year left, who knows with the opportunity of the future. It's still only a 1 year deal. Also, Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC today, said room for leagues to handle football resumption differently. They can go ahead and resume some play in some areas, some conferences, while others that have been dealing with it more often might not. We understand that, and he says it's not going to be easy. We all want to make the best decision possible, but ultimately, it's not going to be easy for any of us to make a decision where all of us can go back at the same time. They still expect July 16th and 17th to have their SEC meetings in Atlanta at this point, pending any word that school or anything at this point is not going to happen. Looking at the NCAA board, well, they're not going to back the transfer waiver change right now, and yeah, that is what it is.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gulick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
This is Spain and Company on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sarah Spain, Jason Goff. It's Spain and Company, ESPN Radio, ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Here's your Sports Center headlines. Chicago Bears have reached one-year deals with free agent wide receiver Ted Ginn Jr. and safety Tashawn Gibson. Yes. Bengals released Andy Dalton today. He'd been the Bengals' primary quarterback since they picked him in the second round of the 2011 draft. He led Cincy to the playoffs 5 times. Wake Forest has named Steve Forbes of East Tennessee State as their next head coach. Forbes replaces Danny Manning, who was fired on Saturday after 6 seasons at the helm. Joining us now here on Spain and Company, the host of the Bill Barnwell podcast, Bill Barnwell, to help us make sense of some of these draft moves that we're still sort of picking over. Bill, I think Jason and I kind of feel a little bit differently about the Packers situation. I think, fine for them to look ahead with the Jordan Love pick, but after that, in a wide receiver heavy draft, go ahead and get a weapon to take advantage of the now as well as the future. Mm-hmm. He's pretty cool with it. Where did you fall on the Packers' decision making?
Yeah, I think you have to think about those 2 picks differently, right? The first-round pick of Jordan Love, I think if you think he's the guy, if you think he can be your guy 10 years from now, or quarterback, I think as much as you're going to upset Aaron Rodgers, you have to make that pick. After that, though, when you get to the second round, and it's one of the deepest drafts in history for wide receivers, and granted, some of the best guys are off the board, but still a lot of players out there who people think are going to be useful players. I don't see how you take a running back, a big, bulky running back who's not even going to replace Aaron Jones if you don't want to re-sign Aaron Jones next year. So I think that was more egregious, that second-round pick, than drafting Jordan Love in the first round.
Do you think it's more on the Packers or Aaron Rodgers that during Aaron Rodgers' tenure, they've only won 1 Super Bowl? And I hate saying only won 1 Super Bowl because that is a major accomplishment, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say the other person on this show might appreciate that 1 Super Bowl, but I will leave that aside. We're not going to make fun of the Bears in this segment. I promise.
Don't do that. Come on, Bill.
But in terms of the situation, I think it's about Mike McCarthy more than anybody else. I mean, this is a guy who really mismanaged a couple of playoff games. I think about that Seahawks game, the one in Seattle where the Seahawks came back and Mike McCarthy was kicking field goals on 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line in the first quarter, and wanted to run the ball out in the fourth quarter because, you know, he had a number in his head for the number of times they had to carry the football. The worst possible analytics argument, the argument that makes analytics people actually crazy. You know, for him to make those arguments in that game when they were so far ahead, I have to pin it on him because I do think that Aaron Rodgers, I mean, you know, just thinking about the Cardinals play or those couple of Hail Marys, you know, I mean, Aaron Rodgers did not always have his best games. I thought he was definitely carrying a much higher portion of the load than Mike McCarthy. Because the Packers organization hired Mike McCarthy, I got to go with the Packers.
Let's go to the Eagles. You're asking, what are the Eagles thinking? Jalen Hurts, you know, there's apparently been some awkward conversations. To me, I'm okay with Wentz, a guy who consistently gets injured, and how much the Eagles have needed to go to a backup, whether that was Nick Foles or Josh McCown, that it's okay with them to kind of have this guy who also can be used maybe as a Taysom Hill type weapon simultaneously with them. You okay with this pick?
I am, absolutely. I think to your point, Sarah, Carson Wentz has now been in the league for 4 years. They've made the playoffs 3 times. He has played a total of 1 quarter